Wow, stories.
He was speaking with my cousins, all of whom are married to white women, about dating histories and preferences. Neither he nor my cousins are white. He said he typically prefers white women too, usually finds white women most attractive, and blamed it on growing up in the suburbs. He said most of his past girlfriends were white, and his mother thought he'd marry a white woman. He said that, fortunately, fate had other plans and led him to me. I don't find it very fortunate. I wasn't at the table, but he knew I could hear him. On the way home, he tried to apologize. I said, "Don't apologize, because he has the right to like what he likes. And if that's white women, that's his right." He said that wasn't what he meant. I was taking it wrong, and he loved me. I just said okay to shut him up. I basically hid out in the guest room for a few days and slept a lot. I have a lot of trauma surrounding my race. I grew up in all-white environments and was always hearing crushes talk about how they would never date a girl of my race. Middle school, high school, college. It was always, she's cool, but I don't date task girls. Always the last choice until I was an adult and out of that world. It gave me a deep self-hatred that I didn't cope with until 21. Frankly, I still don't like my race, but it can't be changed, and I just cope. I made a thread and got some honest, harsh responses, saying I needed to at least talk to him before jumping to divorce. I thanked him for giving me the space I needed. I asked him why he preferred white women. He tried to dodge and say they were familiar growing up in the suburbs. I asked him what he liked about white women more than women of my race. He said he liked light hair and eyes. Ouch. My hair and eyes are so dark, they're almost black. I told him I wouldn't have married him if I'd known he felt this way, and I regretted marrying him. He wants to go couples therapy. He said he didn't exclusively date white women. He dated women of color too. He mentioned how beautiful I was when we met and how he fell in love. It felt like him saying what I wanted to hear, so I won't leave. I asked him if he chose white women over women of color if all things were equal. He said he's never been in that scenario. I said, but if he was? He said, the one I liked the best. I said, but you liked white women the best. He said he meant of the women he found attractive. They tended to be white, but he didn't think other women were ugly. But that's not what he said that night. He specifically said preferred. Preferred means all things being equal. You'll pick white. You'll only pick the other race if she's exceptional because she has to compensate for being non-white. I don't want someone who sees my race as a flaw I must compensate for. I called my mom and sisters. My mom said something that was so comforting. You have every right to be loved the way you want. My sisters were split on what to do, but both said they supported me in whatever I chose. I was scared to divorce with no support, but now I think most of my friends and family will support even if they don't agree. If I stay, it will unalive me. After hearing I'm at the bottom of the racial hierarchy all my life, my husband puts me at the bottom of it too. I loved everything about my husband. He was my ideal in every way. He doesn't feel the same, and that's the most painful. He's the love of my life, but I'm his consolation prize. My features aren't his ideal. It's just going to trigger me every time I wake up next to him. I don't want a divorce, but how does this not become bitter and toxic? I wish I hadn't married him, and I'm not his preference. Neither of us can take back our words. He should have married his preference. I don't know why he married me, and how did he think that convo wouldn't hurt? But I'm glad because I deserve to know. I thought about staying single forever, but I know there are men that prefer women like me. If I stay with him, I'll never find that. This isn't the love I wanted. I'm not his ideal woman. I can't change my desire to be with a man who sees me as his ideal any more than he can change finding white women most attractive. If I can't be first to my own husband, what is the point? Yet, I have enjoyed our relationship for these 5 years. We've had a lot of fun, and so I thought passion. I'll miss him immensely. The thought of him not being a daily presence in my life anymore feels empty and joyless. These few days in the guest room, I've missed him. I'm going to stay with my parents for a few weeks. I need some distance because I'm tempted to say something cruel to him to make him feel like I feel. But that wouldn't be fair to him. He has a right to his preference. Maybe this is miscommunication. Preferences are huge to me. I rejected every man that didn't fit all my criteria. I wasn't going to be happy if I settled. I was told I was picky and would end up single. But it paid off, oops, and I got exactly what I wanted. I loved his hair, eyes, lips, voice, beliefs, hobbies, height, race, skin tone. I loved the length of his freaking eyelashes. I felt like I'd hit the lotto because I got everything on my list. Preferences to him seem like small things that he would like a woman to have, but it's not a big deal. But that doesn't help. He'd like me to be white, but it's okay if I'm not. Being okay to my own husband, whatever I decide, I'm going to therapy. This entire ordeal has triggered me, and now I'm back to all that self-hatred, and I'm going back to that dark place. I really wish we hadn't married. He said he doesn't deserve to lose his marriage over one mistake, and he's right. I don't see any way out of this. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I understand how you feel because I'm non-white and experienced a lot of racial discrimination before. However, I noticed that your husband doesn't have a problem with your race. You have a problem with your own race. You said, I still don't like my race, and ouch! My hair and eyes are so dark they are almost black. I have dark brown eyes and black hair. I am very proud of them. They agree with my facial features, and I think I look very cute with my black eyes and hair. I'm sure you also look very cute with your dark hair and eyes. When your husband said, fortunately, fate had other plans, he meant that you're so special, and he feels lucky to meet you. That shows he loves you very much. That doesn't mean he's settled for you. A lot of your behaviors after this incident scream low self-esteem and insecurity. It would be a big pity to throw away this relationship over one loving sentence of his. It is not a problem of his. It is your own problem. If you still want to be happy in the future, you have to go see a therapist to deal with this issue. Comment 2. Up to you. But from where I sit, you are placing a whole lot of value on physical appearance, and you keep pressing him to talk about his past attractions. He grew up around mostly white people in his formative years. Heck, why such attractions are formed, who knows? For the longest time back to kindergarten, I was attracted to boys with red hair. I came to realize that pre-kindergarten, my mom's best friend had a red-haired son who was born around the same time as me. Who knew that my toddler experience would have me favoring red hair? Side note, my husband is not a redhead. He's the love of my life, but I'm his consolation prize. He married you, not because he couldn't find a white woman with his preferred hair and eye color. He married you because he found you beautiful, inside and out, and chose to spend the rest of his life with you. Skin, hair, and eye color are just not at the top of his list of priorities for a wife. Now, for the update, thanks for the comments on my last post. Things have escalated since then, and I'm struggling to make sense of it all. The day after I decided to stay with my parents, my husband showed up unannounced. He was desperate, saying he couldn't eat or sleep, that he was losing his mind without me. He begged me to come back, to go to therapy together, to give us another chance. I was firm, told him I needed space, but he wouldn't leave. He sat on the doorstep for hours until my dad had to tell him to go home. I felt guilty seeing him like that, but I was also angry. How could he not understand the pain he caused? I was torn between my hurt and the memories of our good times. I didn't let him see it, but inside, I was a mess. 2 days later, my sister called. She'd been talking to him, trying to help him understand why his words cut so deep. She told me he was genuinely clueless about the impact of his preferences, that he really did love me. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was second best. Then, my best friend dropped the news. She'd seen my husband out with a woman, laughing, touching her arm. My heart sank. Was he moving on already? I confronted him over the phone, and he was adamant it was just a coworker, a meeting about a project. I wanted to believe him, but doubt crept in. I decided to take action. I went through his phone records, his emails. I found nothing incriminating, but the trust was broken. I felt ashamed for snooping, yet justified because of my suspicions. It was a cycle of doubt and self-loathing. I agreed to one therapy session. It was intense. He cried, said he never realized how his words could be so hurtful, that he was sorry. The therapist suggested it was a deep-seated issue from his upbringing, something he hadn't even been aware of. I saw a glimmer of hope, but it was overshadowed by my pain. After the session, he asked me to come home. I was hesitant, but I missed our life together. I agreed to a trial period to see if we could work through this. It felt like the wrong choice, but I was desperate for some normalcy, for the love we had. Back home, things were tense. We were walking on eggshells, trying to rebuild trust. I saw him making an effort, being more attentive, but the image of him with that woman haunted me. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was compromising my self-worth. One evening, I came home early and heard laughter from our bedroom. My heart raced as I pushed the door open, only to find him on a video call with his sister, sharing a joke. I felt foolish, paranoid, but the damage was done. I couldn't trust him, and I couldn't trust myself. The next day, I made a choice. I told him I was leaving, that I couldn't live like this. He was devastated, pleaded with me to reconsider, but I was resolute. I packed my bags and left, feeling a mix of relief and deep sorrow. I'm staying with a friend now, trying to piece my life back together. I'm still going to therapy, working through my issues. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I need to find peace with myself before I can think about us.